around more and you get out of bed and you're going to get going and do things. So the most important thing is that each day you're going to have a couple hiccups, but you keep on keeping on. Do you have a passion for the business? Do you have your goals defined to where you want to go? Or is it around in a circle and you think, well, we'll see what happens, and nothing happens. And before you know it, maybe you're not as active in the business, or maybe they're out of the business. You wonder why. I have another story I'd like to share with you, and it's a lovely lady that we've had on the conference calls. Her name is Corey, and she had a business, and she's going to tell you about it. And I thought it was kind of good because she learned a lot from that business. So, Corey, why don't you share with us?
Thanks, Phyllis. When Phyllis and I were talking earlier, and I had, she knew about my history and having a business for 10 years, I started off by saying that, I started my business through rose-colored glasses, and she thought that, that might be an interesting story to tell. Give me a little bit more information, and we'll see if we could use it for the conference call. So I did, and here it is. And because when we're in business sometimes, the bad things that happen can kind of really fuel a lot of negative energy and negative thoughts, and that can put a damper on your sales and your enthusiasm altogether. So here's my little story as to how I kind of got over that. And let me just first begin by saying that I started the business through rose-colored glasses in a way. I was excited. I was young and full of hope. And my main thought at the time was that I was doing something really, really great. I was going to have fun. I was going to have my own business, going to do something really creative. And it was. It was really fun to think of the business in those terms. And I think that anybody endeavoring in their own business would feel that way at any age. You kind of have that giddiness at starting something. You're an entrepreneur, things like that. Plus, I did have a run of good luck by getting a front page editorial at a respected trade publication here in California. And once I got that feature story, it really helped jumpstart my sales and getting someone to rep my line to retail stores. So anyway, I was in business. Sales were good, although not spectacular. They were decent considering I had just started. Basically, I was on cloud 9. Well, let me tell you, I went from cloud 9 to cloud 0 really, really fast. Because after a while, it dawned on me that working and planning a business is not the same as thinking about it. Thinking about it was in theory. Thinking about it was believing all the myths of having your own business without actually experiencing the hard work that you have to put in. So my ideal start somehow gave me the idea that things would always flow smoothly. And as most of you know, many things can go wrong. And it's the stupid little things that can make or break your passion and enthusiasm for your business. And when I say stupid little things, it could be from a single return or a production delay to someone saying no to you or someone canceling a show or an order. And I call them stupid little things because they didn't always come at once. And sometimes the incident weren't really that big a deal. But because I expected things to always go my way or always to be good, it was very disappointing and disheartening to see that those things did happen. And it was very naive for me to think that having a business meant that things would always go right. And so it was like I kind of went into a little mini depression in the beginning, but I thought I was alone in feeling that way, and I thought that this could only be happening to me, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't. I wasn't alone. Lots of people have felt that way. And I really have to put things in perspective that what was happening to me were everyday occurrences that happened to business owners, whether they'd been in business a month or 50 years. But at that time, because I was new, it felt easier to just kind of give up so I wouldn't have to deal with these stupid little things. But I couldn't quit. I wasn't going to quit. In my case, the money I had invested, and most of all my pride, prevented me from putting in the towel. And actually, a lot of the times I just kind of wanted to sleep and put my head under the covers, but that wasn't going to work. Because, when you have a business, you have commitments, you have responsibilities, and most of all, you have bills to pay. So that wasn't going to happen to me. So I had to change my attitude, and this is what I did. And it was really easy. So, when things went wrong, like when I got a return, I simply asked what the problem was. And if it couldn't be replaced, I just had to accept the return. Acceptance sometimes, and whatever it is that goes wrong, it can be very healing. It really can. I had to take the hit and remember not to sell to that person again. Lesson learned. So if production was lagging behind for whatever reason, I called clients ahead of time, letting them know the possibility of delay. And, they really appreciated the gesture and basically had to learn to face the things that went wrong and realize that it wasn't really so bad, because all these negative things that happen that you think are happening, and, a lot of us sometimes tend to blow it out of proportion. The worst of things was really just in my mind. And the bad news that I thought I had to deliver really wasn't all that bad to the person I was delivering it to. And you know what? They appreciated it, the fact that I was honest with them. I had to actually be honest with them and honest with myself as well, that all the myths that I thought, all those great things can happen in a successful business, but you also have to get over those obstacles so you could reach those great things. And also, one lesson I learned was that every time I put something off, every time I thought that I didn't know enough to endeavor on an idea, I would just procrastinate my own success and my own growth as a professional, because I'm the type of person sometimes where I tend to overthink things, and I had to stop that. I really had to learn to stop that, because when you're overthinking something, you're just putting barriers to your own success. And a lot of times, as Phyllis said, your passion and excitement, you're talking about the product, sometimes that is all it takes to get out there and see the people, and they'll feel your, those good vibes coming out of you. So anyway, I was in business for 10 years, and I left on a good note to pursue other interests, mainly to go back to school, to pursue writing, and, and things like that. But I got to tell you, most of the time I was in business, I had a good flow, but the first 3 years for me it was rough. That was my learning curve. But after that, I sort of developed the flow. I expected the stupid little things that went wrong and just rolled with it. Another thing I wanted to share is that, at that time, I really had no sales experience when I started my business. What I did, and I didn't even know this phrase at the time, was that I became a product of the product. I wore the clothes that I sold. When people saw what I was wearing, it was like selling my product without saying a word. And to tell you the truth, I didn't even know I was selling, because I loved what I was doing. I loved what I was wearing. And it was just easy to talk about it to customers. And becoming a product of the product is the easiest conversation starter, really. And people tend to pick up on that kind of energy from you. So if you exude a positive energy, it's always a good thing, because that positivity goes right back to you in so many ways. And, they always say that sales is a numbers game, and it is, because you can't bring up your numbers if you're not working it. So every time if something goes wrong, you just got to make up for that. The next thing, something goes right. If one thing goes wrong, you got to make two things go right. You got to make two things happen for you. And that was kind of like the flow I tried to develop. And that attitude was what kind of really inspired me or motivated me to keep on keeping on and going out there seeing the people in my own way. And thinking back on it, I didn't even know I was in sales. I knew I was in business, but I never thought about the sales. But I was in sales, and it did work for me. And, those 10 years, no one can ever take away from me the lessons I learned. And I have only grown as a person and then as a professional because of it. And I had the time of my life doing it. And so will you. Phyllis?
Oh, thank you, Corey. And that is so true. We learn these things, and we couldn't get a college education that would give us this information. We're out in the real world and handling it, and I think that's the biggest factor. So I guess tonight what I'm trying to say to all of you is don't let you or your people get so hung up on everything and think, oh, I just don't know if I know what to do. And if I get somebody, what am I going to do with them? Get them excited. Get them excited about the product and get them so that it's entrenched in them. And then when it's entrenched and they feel that, and they're not going to lose that. And I've never lost it in all the years I've been in this business.